Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, USA Global TV watchers and listeners. Welcome to Talking Heads. I am your speaker and host today here on Talking Heads, and my name is Mariska du Preez. If you have not joined our show before, and this is the very first time that you are joining, welcome. And of course, for everybody else that's returning, welcome back. And today we are continuing on our psychological safety journey. So we started off in our previous episode around psychological safety, and we're looking at what Timothy Clark described as the 4 phases of psychological safety. So first off was the inclusion safety piece, which we did last time around. And this time we are looking at learner safety. Now, first off, we need to understand why learner safety is important for us as leaders, because, well, why do we even need it? Now, in your organization or within your team, we want to make sure that we perform really well. And in order for us to do this, we will most probably come across things that would be new and evolving and innovative within our space. Or we might go through change. Now, any of those types of situations will cause us to need to learn something. And as human beings, we continuously do this. We continuously learn. We grow in all areas of our life, whether it is at work or at home with our family or with our mates in our team. So learner safety is not only a thing that is really important within our working team environment, it is important in life in general for all human beings. So as a leader, this is also important for us to ensure that we actually get the performance from our team that we are hoping for and looking for. Now, I did mention that we're going to look at 3 different tips how to cultivate this. So the first one is going to be looking at our human need to learn and grow. Then the second one is going to be disconnecting the fear of making mistakes. So we can only learn and grow if we're not scared of making mistakes. And this is literally part of psychological safety. And then the last one is making sure that we decommoditize our human assets. They are not a tool that we can make and break with what we want and then throw them in the trash. That's not how human beings work. We have them as a very valuable and growing resource. And we do need to think about how we handle them a little bit different than how we might handle other forms of resources that we have within our space. So let's start off with the learning piece first. And our need to learn. So this starts from a very young age when we, first come into the world. We learn all sorts of new things and experience a whole bunch of new things and learn how it is to be, a human being on this planet. So from a very young age, we're already starting to learn, to grow, and to experiment with this. And Carol Dweck went into some extensive studies because she was fascinated by the idea of looking at children and wondering why for some of them it was really, really easy to learn new things, and they seemed like they continuously grabbed onto this new information. And for others, it looked to be really, really difficult. And it got her wondering, why is this happening? So what she discovered was a concept that she termed as being fixed-minded or having a growth mindset. So looking at our mindset, whether it's a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. Now, these are not two single points. It is on a continuum, and we move on this continuum in different areas of our life. We move on this continuum in different environments within our life, as well as within ourselves, the way that we think about things, the way that we make sense of things in the world also help us to move on that continuum. Now, for everybody, all human beings, we want to learn. We only learn when we feel safe to do so. If we have an emotional block, and this might be in the form of a fear, this might be in the form of a feeling that we are not nurtured. So if there's any emotional thing going on for us, it will prevent us from learning. We will disengage from the learning process, because learning is really around growing and expanding ourselves. Now, if we were to think about a plant, for instance, if a plant were malnourished, so it got stressed because maybe it didn't get enough water or it didn't get enough sunlight, typically the plant will not start to bear any fruit. It will try to keep its resources as far as possible. Now, that's the same for human beings, in the sense that when we are under some emotional stress, something is happening for us emotionally, we want to spare our resources so we don't open ourselves up for learning. So first of all, we need to feel, and hence going back to psychological safety, we need to feel safe in order for us to be able to learn and grow. And this, Carol has also found within her fixed growth mindset model. When we look at people with a fixed mindset, and we all have a little bit of fixed mindset from time to time, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, and sometimes in some occasions more so than in others. So say, for instance, we did really well with a specific mathematics test, and we also tell ourselves this fairy tale around we're not good with mathematics. Now, we will then see this specific area of mathematics that we did well in as an anomaly. We will also believe that we are very clever in this specific way. And that's one of the things that she noticed, that if we get external stimulus from other people, in other words, that says we are clever, what it does is it moves us more towards a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. So when we attribute it to an identity, if we put it into our identity that we are a clever person, we do not want to lose it. And because we do not want to lose it, we don't take risks. Because we don't take risks, we end up not learning. Because learning has an element of taking risk to it. So that's one of the pieces that she found within her studies, that when we as leaders help others to see that they can experiment and try things out in order for them to learn and get the most optimal results, it is helpful versus telling somebody that they're very clever because they got whatever the result is that they got. So one of the ways to encourage our team members is when we, and we'll come to it sort of moves into our having space to fail space, in the sense that when we fail, it's a not yet. So it's not a not ever, it's a not yet. We haven't figured it out yet. We haven't gotten to the answer that we need or the thing that we're looking for yet. It's not to say that we will never get there. We haven't done it as yet. We haven't quite figured out the right recipe. Versus saying, oh no, this is wrong. I'll never be able to do that. As soon as we go into that sort of mindset, what happens is we go into that fixed mindset. So understanding how we think and word things makes a difference in where we're going to fall on our growth and fixed mindset scale. And it also influences the safety that we feel in this learning process. So the way to help us think about it is the yet. So looking at it from a yet, and also when something went really well, what we want to do is we don't want to allocate the result of the thing to the identity of the person. We want to allocate the result of the thing to the effort the person employed to get to that result. So going back to the not yet when it is a failure, and when it is a success, really looking at what was the process that we went through that got us to that result. Because now we are really attributing the success to the processes that we are running and not to the identity of the person. We are a lot more open to changing a process that we are running that may or may not serve us versus changing us, our identity, how we show up as a human being in the world. So making sure that we really look at that part. So all of that to say, as human beings, we want to grow. And then, of course, going into that next piece that is around making sure that we disconnect this fear around failure. We want to fail. We want to fail because when we fail, we learn. We want to also succeed, of course, because when we succeed, we actually get to the results that we are looking for, and we still need to learn. So we need to learn where we are succeeding and we need to learn where we are failing. Both of them give us information. They give us information as to what works in certain circumstances and what does not, and how we might need to tweak our process or the system that we are running in order to get more of the thing that we have discovered works. And it is not because I'm a clever person. It is because the system that I have developed works really well for that specific thing. It might not work as well for something else. So I can tweak and change it for the other thing. And because it's a system, I realize that I can tweak and change it. Whereas if I am very clever in one place, I might not be as clever in the other place because the system changed. So you can see how that might become an internal conflict, literally, within myself, and it doesn't feel safe because now it is me. I have whatever the problem is, and it is not the system that's been developed that has whatever the problem is. So it's really looking at being able to fail and do it with grace. So we can only fail badly if we have not learned from it. If we fail and we leave it at that and walk away from it, that can possibly be classified as a bad failure because we haven't learned what in our process didn't work. We haven't discovered, we haven't made sense of what happened. And we really want to do that in order to change the way that we think about things. So being able to give our team and those around us the ability to fail and to learn from their failure is helpful. What we also want to make sure is within this learning space, when we have ample time, so say for instance, we have, I don't know, the next 10 years to figure out a not so difficult problem. In all likelihood, we will procrastinate a lot. We will not try things, and we will most probably maybe come up with the right answer, hopefully, but no one knows. When we have a little bit more time pressure, it helps to give us a little bit more engagement. So we as human beings do not only want to learn, we also want to be challenged. We don't want it to be easy all the time. Yes, I know there's times when we get to, oh, I'm really tired and I'm over this. I really want some space to just be. And we get to those points in time as well, where the challenge that we might be able to handle when we are fully resourced as a human being might be different to a challenge that we might be able to handle when we are depleted as a human being. So understanding where our energy levels are and where our team's energy levels are to evaluate the type of challenge that we then give within that space. So understanding what type of challenge and problem that would be helpful. So we need to have the safety element and then also a challenge element so that this thing is engaging and we can actually feel like we've accomplished something. We've done something worthwhile in the world. Otherwise, what's the point of doing it? And then, of course, the very last piece of this is around making sure that we don't think about humans as numbers. So our team members are actually valuable contributors to the success of not only the team, but the organization as a whole and the larger department or different groups in which it is that we work. Because when we have different team members within our space, we will have different types of input. We will have different strengths within that space. So understanding that how an individual works and how an individual learns is a little bit different from how a team works and how a team learns. So as an individual, we will learn and grow. And as a team, we do it a little bit differently because now we have different elements that we need to take into consideration. And if we think about our team as numbers, literally as numbers, what happens is we think we can take one piece out and just pop another piece in and it's going to fix the problem. So if you think about a mechanical piece and we have two things and a little hinge in the middle, and for whatever the reason, the little hinge piece doesn't want to work, we just take the hinge out, we put a new hinge in, and voila, problem solved. On mechanical stuff, yes, that works wonderfully. For human teams, it does not. Because the little hinge, we never get the same one. And the way that the hinge works with the other parts is also never the same. So in a team with human dynamics and with the systems that we have different types of dynamics that we need to work with. And each person brings a very specific part and way of thinking about things that cannot truly be fully replaced with any one other person. We might have similar types of skill sets, we might have similar types of training, we have all sorts of different ways of thinking. So the way that I might make sense of things and the way that the next person might make sense of things will not be the same. So if we interchange in the same role, we will get different types of results. So thinking about the environment that we have and how we can help our team to build psychological safety in order for us as a group to learn. And to do this, we need to start with our inclusion safety, the one that we did the last time around, to make sure that everybody is included, feels included in the team. And then once we have that, we want to definitely ensure that our team members can ask questions. They can bring their perspective. They can fail together. And it is okay to do that. It is fine to fail as a team, because then we can learn as a team. If we don't feel safe to do that as an individual, as part of the team, we will stay quiet. When we have a question that we ask in a team and it is quiet, we can be sure that for some odd reason, there's an emotion within that space that they feel they can't bring their voice in. So we need to be able to make it acceptable and invite the voices to come into that space. And it might require us as leaders from time to time to also not only do and show our failures, but also speak about our failures. And I know for most leaders, for most people, that's really difficult. That takes a lot. We need to be brave to be able to do that, because that makes us feel scared and fearful. And yet, that is one of the easiest ways to invite other people in, to help them to also go, you know what, I would have also done that. Or that's what I thought. Or even go, you know what, I didn't feel safe to say anything. So one way of helping our team do this might be to ask them at the end of the meeting whether there was anything that, and they don't have to say it out loud, but is there anything that they think they might have brought into this space today if they felt safe to do so? And they don't have to show hands or say anything, just let them reflect on it. And what might have helped them to bring that into the space? What feeling did they need that would have helped them to do that? And maybe that can be something that they can share. So when we are in a space that doesn't quite feel as psychologically safe, we are sure not to learn. And hopefully, with these few things to take into consideration that we have discussed today, we have now discovered a couple of ways where we can invite some learner safety by enabling not only by the words we speak, but also with the environment that we create for others to help them to learn. So I hope that you and your team will be learning continuously from here onwards and creating that psychological safety that we need to do so. Of course, if you would like to get a little bit more information around this or anything else regarding leadership, moving from a specialization into a leadership position, or alternatively, moving up in your leadership space, do get in contact with me via my email address, which is mariska@journey2discover.com. Or alternatively, you can also connect with me via LinkedIn and write me a little message and we can start our conversation. Until next time, I hope that you enjoy your learning journey and be a good leader. Bye.